magazines, but.
France 44 wines and spirits. Is that Minneapolis or is that
Which one?
I think it's technically Minneapolis. It's just on the east side of France.
No, I don't know about those, but. Katie, I don't have the email on my phone, so I'll check when I get home tonight. I was told by one of the staff members not to do that to myself. Don't put work email on my phone because then I'd have to check it all the time. You know, work-life balance. All right, so it looks like we're on the air. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order this March 26th, 2024 meeting of the Richfield City Council. It is 7 p.m. Welcome. If you're able, please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the open forum. If you are joining us remotely and would like to call in for that, the number is 1-415-655-0001, and you would use the meeting ID or webinar access code of 2632-284-5658 and password 1234. Also, if you are here in person, you can fill out a little slip. And at this point, I don't see anybody online. Did anyone fill out any slips that wishes to speak?
Mayor and council, nobody filled out any slips for the open forum.
All right, is there anyone here that wishes to speak? All right, then at this point, we will move on in the agenda. Next, we're going to go to the approval of the minutes of the City Council work session of March 12th, 2024, and the City Council meeting of March 12th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving both sets of minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we've approved those minutes. Next, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any comment or changes? All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we have approved tonight's agenda. Our first presentation is a question and answer and presentation from the Hennepin County District Court. And so I'm very pleased to welcome our Hennepin County Court Chief Judge Carrie Meyer. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm going to start with a video. It's 4 minutes. It saves you a lot of PowerPoint. Okay, so I think this is going to come up. We practiced. Here we go.
The 4th Judicial District of Minnesota is the largest of the 10 districts in the Minnesota Judicial Branch. The 4th serves nearly 1.3 million residents within the 45 cities that make up Hennepin County. The 4th Judicial District serves the community from 6 facilities, including locations in Brooklyn Center, Minnetonka, and Minneapolis. We take pride in providing quality service to our community. Our commitment to service includes many firsts and innovations. The first African-American Chief District Judge in Minnesota. First live stream of a trial in the state. Developed e-file and serve paperless filing system used throughout the branch. Self-help centers, which have become the norm throughout the state. A focus on treatment courts for drug addiction, DWI, mental health, and veterans. A race equity initiative launched in 2017, providing text and email reminders of court appearances, which are now standard across the state. created a Youth Justice Council in juvenile court, providing a warrant helpline that reduces failure to appear and helps clear warrants without incarceration. The mission of the 4th Judicial District is to provide justice through a system that assures equal access for the fair and timely resolution of cases and controversy.
The 4th Judicial District consists of 5 court divisions: civil, criminal, family, juvenile, and probate mental health. Services are provided at 6 locations: Hennepin County Government Center, Family Justice Center, Juvenile Justice Center, the Public Safety Facility, and the Brookdale and Ridgedale courthouses. In 2023, the 4th handled over 405,000 filings. That is 37% of the state's legal filings. Our district has 63 judges. That number is set by the state legislature. In addition, we have 13 referees. Referees are licensed attorneys, and in Hennepin County, we use our referees like judges. We also have over 560 employees across our entire district. These are the people that support our 1.3 million residents.
There are several priorities the 4th is focusing on for 2024. These priorities address the challenges facing our court system and impacting our community. To continue providing services in an efficient manner, we must address increased filings in housing court with a 76% increase since 2019. The court's most serious felony filings are consistently increasing each year. Over 20,000 interpreter requests in 2023 for 83 languages. Increased need for services for defendants experiencing addiction and mental health issues. Increased need for more public defenders to reduce number of self-represented litigants and defendants. Over 75% of family court litigants are self-represented. Increased need for more caseworkers for the Child in Need of Protection Services program. The 4th Judicial District is grateful to the people in our community who give of their time and talents to make the legal system flow efficiently. From citizens serving as jurors to county and city administrators working with our teams, Hennepin County's residents are served well by the contributions of many. Together, we work toward a better future and equal justice for all.
So that's a brief overview of our court system. I want to thank the mayor and city manager for joining us in January for our open house and then inviting me today to sort of update the rest of your council and whoever else is interested in your city. To give you an update, in 2023, our district court distributed a total of just under $250,000 to the city of Richfield. That comes from the fines and surcharges and your percentage of those. So I know that you pay a city attorney to come and be in court, and this is part of, and your officers to be on standby and things like that, but it does, we do disperse what we collect back to you, and that's your total for 2023. I want to tell you that we are having a warrant resolution day on May 3rd. That is not a warrant forgiveness day. It's a warrant resolution day where people who have open warrants on low-level criminal matters will be able to come in, be able to get that warrant taken care of, and also hopefully resolve the entire case. We're working with community members, our organizations, and our justice partners to put that together, to have prosecutors and defense attorneys and probation officers, and we'll also have child support and DVS, or Department of Motor Vehicle, there as well, so that we can help people not sort of live in fear of being arrested on our more low-level type of warrants. So I'm open to any questions that you have about the courts or what's happening with the courts and our relationship. Do you have any?
All right, are there any questions that anyone has? All right, Councilmember Troutman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Judge. I just wanted, one thing I wanted to notice, in addition to the presentation, something that Hennepin County has done in the last number of years is to make court documents available at no charge. for folks in the uncertified version. And for clients, I'm also, in my other life, I'm an attorney, and I know it's really an issue for clients when they might have sometimes 50 or 60 individual documents, and those fees can get up to be hundreds of dollars just to get access to their own records. And so I just wanted to recognize that. In other counties, that's not the case, and so I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing out, right? It's the little things that have a really big impact. $8 a page is a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a member here from the Human Rights Commission, and one of the things that you talked about in your documents that you sent us is something that they help facilitate is we have a computer terminal here at the Municipal Center so that you can log in and access remotely to do legal filings. And I think we had to have a bunch of stuff happen on your end at Hennepin County in order for it to be an option that we have here. And so I was glad that we were able to work with you to get that option in place to have that legal kiosk.
Yes, thank you. The Minnesota Public Access, MPA, MGA, whatever you call it, we call it MNCIS, but that's not what it's called for other folks. But the public courthouse view, it's really nice to have those terminals somewhere other than downtown where you have to come pay to park.
And then the other thing is I was really glad to hear about the Warrant Resolution Day because I know the other thing that our Human Rights Commission has done is they've had like these free legal clinics where people will come pro bono and help with things. And so it's nice to know that the county is offering a place to deal with some of the low-level stuff so that we can clear things up and get them resolved. Appreciate that.
We do have a helpline always. Don't have to wait until May 3rd, right? You can call the helpline and we get people added onto the calendar within a week, and then their warrant gets recalled as soon as they appear in court. But we are going to have this special event and have those other partners there as well for things like driver's license. I know that's been a big issue for a lot of our justice partners.
All right, any other questions? I had one, but I didn't want to monopolize the conversation. When we came to the open house, you mentioned that one of the legislative objectives was to try and get more treatment options for people. Is that still an ongoing process to try and a need that we still have for treatment facilities?
Yes, always. But especially for our juveniles, the placement options have really reduced since the pandemic. We've had a lot of places close, a lot of residential places close since the pandemic that were servicing juveniles. And our county homeschool closed right before that, and Ramsey's Totem Town closed right before our county homeschool did. And so we are definitely always looking for placements for the children who are not able to stay at home while they do their treatment. The residential is especially an issue. But just in general, different types of treatment, because one size does not fit all, of course. We want to be really individualized with our treatment. And so we're always looking for additional programs or providers to be able to give treatment to our justice-involved people.
All right, thank you so much. All right, any other last comments? Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope people avail themselves of the information you provided, and I appreciate that you came out to us to share it.
Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, the next presentation, I'm going to be joined by Maddie Vuxen, who's a member of the Human Rights Commission, and we have a proclamation celebrating Women's History Month. All right, thank you so much. So this is a proclamation of the City of Richfield. Whereas Women's History Month is celebrating the achievements of all women, including women of color, women of the LGBTQIA2S+ community, women of all abilities, and women of all religions. And whereas women of the indigenous nation of the Dakota peoples have lived in this land now known as the City of Richfield for thousands of years, and whereas President Jimmy Carter declared the week of March 7th Women's History Week, and later the United States Congress declared March Women's History Month in 1987, and whereas women have served courageously throughout our history in all aspects of our society and deserve to be recognized and respected for their contributions, and whereas the City of Richfield has was honored to have the first Latina mayor, Maria Medina, formerly Maria Regan Gonzalez, in the state of Minnesota. And whereas the city of Richfield is in Minnesota's 5th congressional district and is represented by the first Somali Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar. And whereas the city of Richfield has confirmed Melissa Palman as the first woman director of the Community Development Department. And whereas the city of Richfield has confirmed Kristen Asher as the first woman director of the Public Works Department. And whereas the Hennepin County Commissioner Debbie Gotel served as Richfield's first woman mayor. And whereas the city of Richfield confirms its commitment to supporting and uplifting women of all races, abilities, and religions to ensure a better future for all members of our community. Now, therefore, I, Mary Supple, Mayor of Richfield, on behalf of the Richfield City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2024 as Women's History Month in the city of Richfield, and call on the people of Richfield to observe this month with appropriate programs, activities, and ceremonies, and continue to honor the contributions of women Americans throughout the year. Proclaim this 26th day of March 2024. So, congratulations. Thank you. And did you want to speak, Commissioner? Okay.
Hello. I would just like to say thank you, Mayor Supple and the City Council, for having me here tonight. I am honored to accept the Women's History Month proclamation on behalf of the Richfield Human Rights Commission and as a community member. As a teacher, I've seen firsthand the positive impact of recognizing the contributions of all women, not only on our youth, but also on our whole community. Richfield has a long history of diversity and empowerment, and I am grateful to be part of this proclamation and proud to be part of Richfield. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Did anyone else want to add anything? Councilmember Troutman.
Hey, thank you, Mayor, and I just want to thank my colleague for coming and accepting this on a very questionable, an evening with questionable weather, and so I mean it goes without saying that it's worth acknowledging the successes and accomplishments and the unique leadership that our city has been lucky to have, and we could be here all night identifying not in a bad way, the incredible women that lead our city, but I just want to recognize my colleague on the commission. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you. I also realized as I'm looking at my notes that I did miss one thing in the previous presentation with the Hennepin County District Court. At the end of our meeting, we usually do something called Hats Off to Hometown Hits. And I wanted to thank District Court Judge Juan Hoyos, who came over to the Richfield, to Partnership Academy and was part of a leadership panel. And so thank you to him for joining us for that. I appreciate it. And I think everyone at Partnership Academy was really excited about the whole thing. Even showed him the gavel that he brings to the meetings. So thank you for that. And also thank you to the Human Rights Commission. You all do a lot of really great work. Anything else that we want to add? All right, then we'll move on to the consent calendar, and I'll turn it over to City Manager Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor. The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the City Council in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further council action on these items is necessary. On tonight's consent calendar, item A, consider the first reading of an ordinance amending subsection 210.01 of the City Code related to City Council salaries for 2025 and 2026. Item B, consider a resolution authorizing staff to submit an application for a Hennepin County Youth Play Spaces grant for the replacement of play equipment at Donaldson Park and authorize staff to execute a grant agreement if awarded. Item C, consider adoption of a resolution authorizing staff to submit a Hennepin County Youth Activities Play Spaces grant application for $100,000 to fund inclusion of a playground play feature at the future Pillsbury Plaza community space. Item D, authorize the mayor and city manager to sign a letter of commitment and related participation in a grant application to the United States Environmental Protection Agency for a Twin Cities commercial energy efficiency program. And I submit these items for your consideration as part of the consent calendar.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion with regard to the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any discussion? Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the 4 consent calendar items, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we've approved those. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to item number 6, which is a public hearing to approve host designation for the city of Landfall Village to issue senior housing and healthcare revenue bonds to finance acquisition of the Pine Senior Housing Development. Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
Thank you. And if I could ask our video tech to put the call-in information on the screen, since we will have a public hearing on this shortly. Cassia is seeking tax-exempt financing to purchase the Pine Senior and Assisted Living Facility located at 400 West 67th Street. Cassia is a nonprofit corporation comprised of Augustana Care and Elam Care, 2 longtime organizations that provide senior housing, health care, and support services to older adults. Augustana has managed the Pines since 2012 and will continue to manage and support the Pines following acquisition by Cassia. With the change in ownership, 20% of the units, 17 units, will be occupied by tenants whose income does not exceed 50% of the area median income. Cassia is asking that the City of Richfield provide host approval so that the City of Landfall Village can issue revenue bonds for the acquisition. City of Landfall Village has agreed to issue the bonds to finance the acquisition. Approval of the attached joint powers agreement is necessary to formalize this arrangement. The City of Richfield anticipates issuing bonds this year in support of city projects, so is unable to issue the bonds directly. This is a public hearing. If anybody would like to comment on this item, they can come forward at this time, or they can call in. Is it 3 minutes?
3.
Okay. All right, you have
A citizen of Richfield of 37 years and the chief financial officer for Cassia. And I'm just honored to be here, and we're honored to continue our commitment to Richfield by owning this property instead of just managing it. And we serve a lot of seniors and would love to continue serving here. If you have any questions, I'd try and answer those for you as well as I can.
All right, thank you. I think in our discussion after, if we had questions for the applicant, we could have called you back up again, but thank you.
Sounds good.
And thank you for coming in tonight.
All right, would anybody else like to speak on this item? All right, I will move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second that. So it's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the public hearing is closed.
All right, I move that we approve a resolution providing host approval and consenting to the issuance, sale, and delivery by the City of Landfall of its revenue bonds and approving and authorizing the execution of a joint powers agreement.
Second.
All right, and to clarify, it's Landfall Village?
To the City of Landfall Village.
Okay, yes, okay. All right, is there any discussion?
Maybe the city attorney, it's always helpful, I think, for residents to hear maybe a little bit more about the process and how it works and what the city's being asked to. We're not financing these, I know we're not, but maybe just for the record, could you share what we're doing tonight?
I would be happy to speak to some of the legal issues surrounding there's no liability for the city here. I'm not your bond counsel, so,
Okay.
but I know that Assistant Director Urban can probably tell you a little bit more about the process, and then if there are questions that I can answer, I'd be happy to try to do that.
Thank you. That is a really important clarification.
Okay.
And thank you, Assistant Director Urban. Thank you for being here on a snowy night, just for questions like this, so our community can know what we're doing and not doing tonight.
Not a problem. Councilmember Troutman, Mayor, members of the council. Yes, so in this case, you're right, the city has no financial obligation. We are purely, we aren't even a conduit for the bonds in this instance. That's going to be the city of Landfall Village because we didn't have the capacity ourselves. Cities have a certain amount of capacity to issue tax exempt revenue bonds. This year, we are likely to use that capacity for our own projects, so we weren't able to help them out. But we can authorize another community to issue those bonds. So certain projects, nonprofits, affordable housing developers, different kinds of public uses, hospitals, schools can use those tax exempt bonds to finance things like acquisition. And that's what Cassia is proposing to do in order to purchase the bonds. So they're borrowing the money and they will be the responsible party for paying back those bonds.
We are just saying it's okay to do that in Richfield.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
And I'm just saying that several times because I don't know about other councils. It's a little confusing, and people come up and they say, we're on the hook for this bond or another bond, so I appreciate you explaining that.
Right. It is not easy to understand. You're exactly right.
No, thank you very much. And
I will say that our bond counsel, Julie Eddington, Mary's coworker, is an expert, and we rely on her judgment and her review of all the documents, and so we are always very confident that she has our interests.
And if we were undertaking a bond obligation right now, she would be here. But
Exactly.
we're not, so she's not.
Exactly.
That is
exactly.
No.
And Mayor, if I could just add, I wanted to thank you, Assistant Director, for confirming that this is being memorialized in a joint powers agreement, which, explicitly states that there's no financial obligation or liability for the city. So just to remind the council of that and also for the public's benefit.
Thank you.
I did want to add that I thought it was really great that it's going to be 20% affordable because that's something we don't have a lot of affordable senior housing in Richfield, so it's filling a need in the community, and I appreciate that you're doing that. I think that's going to be really important. All right, other comments or questions? All right, so we made the motion and seconded, and we've had the discussion, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we have approved this, and thank you for coming out this evening. All right, next we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We had 4 speakers at our open forum at our last meeting. 2 speakers expressed concerns with our compensation and class projects. I did want to note one correction. I did not say that the city was over budget or over expended at this point. We were discussing the comp and class project specifically, and I said that we expected to exceed the reserves that we had set aside for comp and class. I also want to stress that the reason is it has everything to do with the really tight labor market, and especially for some positions. I also wanted to, and then there were 2 more speakers. Mr. Sather spoke about his concerns regarding short-term rentals in the city, and I followed up with him with additional information. And then Mr. Wawra spoke about his concerns about Hennepin County and their plans to close the HERC facility. And I sent him the letter that we had sent to Hennepin County that expressed our concerns and feedback on their current timeline that they're exploring. And then to further add to the celebration of Women's History Month, I just wanted to share kind of a nice story. I was on a call today with Ellers and our finance director, Kamut Verma, and our community development director, Melissa Palman. There were 6 women on the call. And one woman introduced herself and went through her experience, which was extensive. And she said, I've been in this business so long that I remember then when having 6 women on a call about finance would have been unusual. And I thought that was a nice story. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
I think to add to that, it was pointed out that at the last HRA meeting that now our entire community development department is female. And so things like that didn't happen in the past. It used to frequently would be all male, but now it's becoming commonplace. Sometimes it's all female, and a lot of times it's a mixture of both genders. So thank you to all involved with that. I had one like comment or question, and I don't know if this is the appropriate place for it. I noticed that the League of Minnesota Cities Conference is coming up June 26th through the 28th. So can you get back to the council with whether or not we have anything budgeted if council members would like to attend that? I have not been to it, but I've heard that it's very valuable, and I wanted to make sure that people are aware of that educational opportunity.
Yes, I will get something out to council. Thank you.
All right, now we'll move on to claims and payroll.
I'll move claims and payroll.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve claims and payroll. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We've approved the claims and payroll. Next, we'll move on to the hats off to hometown hits. We'll start with Councilmember Christensen.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I had the opportunity last Tuesday night to attend the Blue and Gold dinner for PAC 384 at Woodlake Lutheran Church. And it was a large group of people that were there, all participating in a potluck. And I believe that there was, I think there was about, if I remember right, about 7 young men who graduated, who crossed the bridge to becoming Boy Scouts. And it was brought back a lot of fond memories of when my son and grandson were in Scouts. So it was a good event.
Thank you. Councilmember Hayford O'Leary.
I just wanted to share I enjoyed participating in the Richfield High School Job Olympics along with Mayor Seppel last week, getting to mock interview some high school students. And then separately, had an inquiry from a high school senior who's doing a project on future career development as well, interested in urban design issues. And I want to thank both his interest, Theodore, and also I think 2 members of our community development department and our city transportation engineer for taking time out of their day to talk with him about his potential career path. And it sounded like he had learned a lot and had a really good time talking to our staff.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Troutman.
Thank you, Mayor. Two hats off tonight. One last week, actually, it's two weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend the Richfield Leadership Network's first fundraiser, and we probably had 150 people at least come out to Lido Burritos, and it was just an incredible opportunity to just see community and people that are continuing to invest in our city. And so hats off to the Richfield Leadership Network. And then last night was the annual banquet for the Fort Snelling Civil Air Patrol. And my oldest son, Justice, this year started to participate in that. And it's it's an auxiliary of the Air Force. It's kind of like Boy Scouts, but it's an opportunity for young men and women to learn about aviation and character development and discipline, and absolutely extraordinary what those young folks are doing. And our former colleague, Tom Fitzhenry, has been a leader in that program for many years. They actually he takes young cadets up and teaches them how to fly. Flight training is actually it's just an incredible program. And so for all the Richfield cadets and to our former colleague, Tom Fitzhenry, hats off and thanks for great work.
All right, thank you. Before I get to my 2 hats off, I have to do 2 shameless plugs here. One is for the Richfield Community Gardens. So if you would like to sign up, you can go on to the Richfield webpage under Parks and Recreation and look under Community Garden. And it's going to be another great growing season at Veterans Park. The garden plots will be available from early May to mid-October. Preference will be given to those living in high-density housing without current access to gardening spaces, and there are 2 accessible raised table garden beds that will also be available. The plot rental is $45 for the season, and due to limited space, only Richfield residents are allowed to apply, so you can register online. And registration opened March 4th, and it's ongoing for the next couple of weeks, so sign up for those community garden spots. So those are awesome. My second shameless plug is for the Richfield Foundation. They do fabulous work for our city, and they are doing their annual fundraiser on May 9th for it's called the Toast to Richfield, and it's their 10th year that they're doing this event. Last year, they raised almost $25,000, and they're hoping this year that we can raise $30,000 to help good things going on in our community. So you can go online for the Richfield Foundation to get tickets. I don't know if the early bird pricing is still in effect, but either way, please sign up and come to the fundraiser on May 9th. I want to do a hats off to our great public works staff for the great job of clearing the snow now that winter has finally arrived at long last. And it's always amazing to look out and see everything that's already cleared up and ready to go. And so thank you for that. And finally, the Met Council had their State of the Region gathering this week, and it was really great to see all of our representatives. We're represented by John Pacheco. He's for District 5, and we also were able to talk to a number of the other district representatives. And so if you need information about the Met Council, they have a new thing about, they're doing Imagine What It's Going to Be Like in 2050. So we're thinking ahead to the future and what we're planning for the next generation. So if you have ideas to imagine of what it's going to be like in 2050, please reach out to your Met Council rep. Is there anything else we want to do a hats off to? All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.